It's been a while, Welcome back. Back at LA Racing, back at OGHQ. And today we are about to swap my daily driver, which is a EG Civic. Over here. It's Dane. Say hi. Abdullah. And this is the daily. 1500 carburetor D15B, and it's time to say goodbye to the D series. Time for a new heart transplant. K24 JDM. Okay, so the main aim behind doing the K swap is basically to show everyone LA Racing is efficient as doing a K swap within a day or two. So we want to try and swap this car and make it K series basically within one day, 24 hours. So that means pulling out the old engine, swapping in the new engine, wiring it up, turning the key, getting it to a run and drive on its own power. And after that we will explore more avenues regarding the K swap. I'll try my best to explain to you step by step how we do in the swap and what is required to do the swap yourself. Okay, so this is basically more or less what you're gonna need. Decent toolbox. The brand, this is Toolcraft. And if you need something like this, I can definitely supply you. We have a supplier for tools and stuff, power tools as well. Give some information regarding the tools and everything you need to do the K swap in the description below. Firstly, what we're gonna have to do is obviously take off the wheels, remove the wheels, make sure the car is jacked up and secure on jack stands, and then we're gonna basically go ahead and remove the drive shafts as well as the transmission fluid, engine oil, coolant. Once all the fluids are drained, then we can remove the shafts, remove the mounts, pull the engine out, and then I'll explain to you what to do when it comes to swapping the car. Okay, so at the moment Dyno is draining the engine oil. Yes. Get yourself a little oil drain like that as well, that you can pick up from any like spares, for example like Midas, Suburban, I don't know. Okay, so we just pull the engine out. It was fairly straightforward actually to pull the D series out of the EG. As you can see, we don't have a crane with us at the moment. So what we ended up doing was jacking the car up. Jacking the car up on like 2 blocks, and we pulled the engine out from under the chassis leg. Actually, it was more than enough clearance to get it out, even on this tow trolley. So we're basically gonna try and swap the K in with the same manner basically. This is only specific to an EG chassis. The driver side post on the chassis leg, this will have to be removed to accommodate the K series. So obviously all the D series, B series, H series engines are rotating anti-clockwise and the transmission is on the driver side, whereas the K that turns clockwise, transmission is on passenger side. So we need clearance for the engine over here. Transmission bolts onto this mount over here. So if you look carefully, you'll notice there is spot welds on the chassis leg. So basically you just mark them out and you drill them out, and you can whack this off with a hammer or a pry bar, crowbar. But that's basically the main priority now when it comes to swapping in a K in an EG chassis. Post mount is removed. I just painted some primer over the holes where we now drilled, so it doesn't rust. But later I will definitely clean up the engine bay and make it look more presentable. But moving forward, this is the driver side post bracket that comes with your high sport mount kit for EG. And how to install this is quite simple. Underneath the chassis leg, you can see see these 2 holes over here. This is the holes for the torque mounts that was previously in the car. So I basically use this as a guide. So I'll explain to you now how we do this. Okay, this slides on like this onto the chassis leg. There we go. So that's is basically your guide. So what you can do in the meantime is use the existing torque mounts bolts just to like fix this to the chassis leg, and you come back up here and you use basically this holes here as a guide. Sorry for my hands, they're so filthy. But drill through the chassis leg. Then what you can do is the bolts that is supplied with the mount kit, I'll show it to you later. It goes right through the chassis leg, and then you basically use the threaded hole as the nut. Post mount is fixed. We drill the 2 holes on top of the chassis leg that meets the torque mounts threaded holes in here. So what happens is once you drill the hole in, the bolts that's supplied with the mount kit will thread into the torque mounts holes underneath the chassis leg, and then we reinforce it with, I'm not sure if you can see this, but with the supplied nylon lock nuts as well and washers. You could potentially weld this bracket on here as well if you want to keep it fixed to the chassis, but at least they give you an option to bolt it in just in case. You never know, maybe decide to swap out the mount kit for a different style mount kit, because Hasbro do offer like a lean kit as well for EG chassis, and there's many companies that supply mounts like Innovate and Myers that supply mounts for this particular chassis, multiple style mounts. Okay, moving forward, so what we decided is to keep the heat in the car, so the heater core and everything is still in the car. I eventually plan on utilizing the heater at a later stage, so we're not going to remove this, because generally when we do a K swap we tend to remove the heater core from underneath the dashboard, and then this area over here is where we push basically the cables through, the shifter cables through. But what we're going to do now is, because we're keeping the heat, we decided to go just below the heater core, just above the subframe, and we're going to make an incision. As you can see, there's a hole there. We'll use the sawzall and just cut out a decent size hole for the cable heads to go through, and that's basically it. I feel like that orientation is going to be better also for the angle of the cable, so the shift will feel a lot more smoother as well. Safety goggles very important. Okay, so we made a decent size hole so we can run the cables through as well as the wideband, and we might even possibly run the engine harness through here as well. Okay, another thing you're gonna have to do is remove the hangers, or let's call it the stay for the radiator, which is on the driver's side. So you'll notice there is spot welds on there as well. Dashboard mount is in. Passenger side, rear mount, driver side post mount. Now onto the engine. You'll notice on the driver's side, this is the cord post mount. It's obviously to accommodate an oil filled mount, but seeing that we're swapping the K in an EG chassis or EK or EF, it has to be replaced with a CRV post bracket. And focus. Part number for anyone else that is interested. This is the exact post mount you need to swap a K24 into any old Honda chassis. You can use the existing bolts that comes off from the cord post mount. New post mount. K24 is in, and we still have some time to spare, but we're gonna call it a night.
Yeah, 10 hours in.
10 hours in.
Yeah, 13, 14 left. Start and drive tomorrow.
Okay, so we got the swap completed. There's still small minor odds and ends we need to see to. Yeah, so I do apologize. I didn't necessarily get to film the entire process, but what I'm gonna do is walk you through what it is exactly that I ended up doing to get the swap completed. Okay, so it's been a couple of days after I completed the swap, and I completely forgot to actually do the walkthrough to explain like what was the rest of the work that was done off camera. So please allow me to do that. Okay, so we're on the interior side. Shifter is mounted. This is the K-Tune RSX style shifter. It's pretty straightforward to install. There's like a base plate you can buy that goes basically above the shifter hole where the previous shifter selectors were mounted, and then you basically bolt the shifter directly to the base plate. And then the cables, like I mentioned earlier in the video, we routed the cables basically below the heater core because we still have heat in the car. And obviously tried my best to keep what was left of the interior in the car. Just trim that piece off there. The car still looks original inside. Wideband was installed as well, AEM wideband. I mean, from an aesthetic point of view, I kind of like where the wideband is located. So old school. And then the ECU is mounted over here. I know it does look like a bit of a mess here. That's the AEM wideband's harness as well as the EP3 type R harness. And then I built myself my own adapter harness to power up the K-Pro ECU. If you're not inclined this way, then don't risk it. Rather speak to someone with some more experience, or there's many other options out there to get your ECU powered up. You can buy adapter harness online. There's multiple companies that can offer the adapter harness. If you are local, you can contact me and I can be able to assist you when it comes to building a harness. Obviously it won't look like this. It will look way more presentable, but this was just so we could get the car done as efficiently and as quickly as possible. So let's go to the engine bay. The engine bay is looking pretty with the new painted valve cover. Definitely I'm very pleased with how it came out, and it definitely suits the white engine bay. Got a short air intake. This is 89mm on a block 70mm throttle body, and then obviously the intake we replaced for RRC intake, and we've got the nice billet Speed Factory Racing fuel rail as well as AN lines on fuel pressure regulator, and the fuel system is pretty straightforward. Obviously in this car was a 1500 carburetor, so the tank was a bit of a mission to use. You can use either an external fuel pump and modify the tank, but what we ended up doing was just swapping out the fuel tank and replacing it for a fuel injected fuel tank, so we could use the inline fuel pump to accommodate the new setup. As far as the exhaust goes, we've got a Zurich header on, and the rest of the exhaust is custom made. I actually ended up building it here. I want to show you guys, however, I feel like we must leave that for another video. So comment down below if you want to see like a short video regarding the exhaust. The hydraulic system, we also ended up using the existing hardline over here that was connected to the T-series. So we just bent the hardline to come onto the passenger side, where we connected it to the K-series existing hardline as well that came with the transmission. Most of your transmissions might not come with this piece, so you most likely would have to build up a line like this. Again, there's a lot of information on the internet. There's a lot of shops online as well that offer these lines for you to buy off the shelf and bolt directly to your swap. But again, local, you can contact me. I can assist you with that as well. On the bonnet, we had to cut a bit of the webbing just for some clearance purposes. So over here we cut this piece out for the radiators stays a bit. This is like a piece of aluminium, and then this area over here we trimmed for the valve cover to clear. Let's start up. Wideband is heating, ignition is on. I managed to get most of the signals on the cluster wired up. RPMs on, alternator signal, oil pressure, as well as a check engine light. That's something I've also discovered on this cluster, being that this car was carbureted. It actually had the area for the check engine light, and all it needed was the bulb. So I installed the bulb and then found the pinout for the check engine light, wired it to the ECU. So now we have check engine light. Idles nicely. One more thing I need to do is add the heat gauge sensor. So I need to drill and tap thread somewhere in the cooling system so we can enable the heat as well. It's a bit rich, but yeah, I still need to tune the car. It's got like a base map on it. It can drive as well, but still need to do some fine tuning. at Jackson Tires. They are based in Ottery, opposite the Sassel garage. We setting the alignment in the car. I'm actually seated in the car so that the weight is correct basically while they're adjusting the suspension, and I can also hold the steering wheel straight basically. Okay, so we are at Infinity Performance. We're on the rollers now with the EG. We're gonna do a power run. We made some decent figures. I wasn't trying to chase after a hell of a lot of power with the car. I'm happy with what the graph looks like. Okay, so that will end off this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I tried my best to shove as much information as possible in the video for you to understand and make it easier for you to build your cars. Though there is a lot more into it. There's so much more content regarding this car. Fill you in on what else we have planned for this car. But right now, from my experience, I can tell you this car drives pretty well. It's very light on fuel. Everything works as it should work, minus the speedo. But other than that, I'm very happy with the car. Drives very well, and I look forward to experimenting with this car. Like, there's a lot more parts we have for this car that we can experiment with. We can do comparisons, we can do some draggy pulls and see what the car's performance is like. But for now, the car is driving every day. Like I said, it is my daily driver, and I'm enjoying this car like a hell of a lot. This, in my opinion, is my favorite chassis, the EG chassis, and I don't ever regret buying an EG chassis. So without any further ado, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please don't hesitate to like, comment, share and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.